I'm recording.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the April 13th, 2021 regularly scheduled council meeting. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Gabe Belo,
Here.
Pat Hovis,
Here.
Beth Gilman,
Here.
Roseanne Hickman,
Present.
Lisa Slobodian,
Here.
Margaret Phillips,
Here.
Jerry Trolley.
Present.
Thank you. Council, you received the minutes for the March 23rd, 2021 meeting.
I have one coming in, a Darren
Okay.
Schumacher.
Okay,
Move to approve the March 23rd meeting minutes.
okay.
I'll
Do I
second
have a
that.
second? Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Trolley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Oppose the same sign. If you are a public attending, if you're not council, yes, if you could mute that, I would appreciate it. If you'd like to speak, you can just unmute. I don't know if the person that just chimed in wants to speak during public comment. When we get to that point, if you'd like to, he can unmute. The chair notes that certification has been made regarding the compliance and rules and notifications of this meeting. We have no guest presentation, public comment. I don't think we have any. Move on to executive officers reports. I just wanted to announce that I know that the governor is changing some rules and everything, but for right now, we will continue with the Zoom meetings for council at this time. Maybe once the weather gets a little nicer, we can move back to the shelter house or some other place. But right now, we'll just keep them at Zoom. Council, under correspondence, there was an email from a Tim Bolin. You received a copy of it. That has been assigned to Mrs. Hickman's Environment and Public Works Committee for consideration at our next meeting. Also, you have a Ohio Division of Liquor Control, 2 liquor permits. One from West Dock, which is a new request, and one is from K&D DBA as Beer 30s. That's a renewal. Chief Hickman has been contacted and he said he has no objection to those. So if council would like to take action on those this evening, that would be appreciated. We have a few new ordinances this evening. We have new ordinance 13-21, 14-21, 15-21, 16-21, and 17-21. Administration has asked if council so chooses, if they would pass 13-21 and 17-21 on the first reading. And when that comes to time, we can have discussion at that point. 14-21 and 15-21 can go to the 3 full readings. They've asked that 16-21 be passed on its second reading, and that is assigned to Finance and Environment and Public Works committees for discussion. And also just a reminder, for a second reading, we have ordinance 12-21, and council has asked, administration has asked council if they would be able to pass that on its second reading. Reminder, I know I keep saying this, but the public records training, everyone needs to do it once during their term. TMCOG is offering a free online next Friday via Zoom. Also, your ethics forms are due in May. And I would like to wish Mrs. Hickman a happy birthday, Mr. Trolley a happy birthday. And that's all I have this
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Schneider.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. This is going to be a big weekend in town. As you may have heard, Cabela's is coming in for a big fishing tournament Friday and Saturday. 2 years ago, they were in town and had 42 competitors. And that was a pretty good sized event for Cabela's. Earlier today, they cut off the registration at 120 boats. It is going to be a massive event. It's so big, we had to move it out of the Knights of Columbus building, and through the help of a whole bunch of folks, have relocated that event over to Waterworks Park. In addition, I want to thank Happy Days Boating for allowing overflow to use their launch. Most of the boats will go out of the public launch down on Lakeshore Drive. Happy Days will also serve as an overflow to make sure everybody gets in and out in a timely and safe fashion. When they were at about 75 boats, I got a call from the organizer saying, hey, we're going to have a bunch of fish. We need to donate to a charity because we can't keep the fish. We can't sell the fish, blah, 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 blah. At that point, they were looking at 4,000 pounds of walleye. I'm not sure how many thousands of pounds they're looking at now, but Victory Kitchen over in Sandusky is going to take all of those fish, have them processed. They've got an agreement with an organization over there. So the fish is going to be going to some good use and good work that's being done over at Victory Kitchen. Some of the equipment and people are already in town for the fishing tournament. You'll see the rest of them arriving on Thursday. The pier, Jefferson Street Pier and Washington Street access will be closed Thursday a.m. until Saturday p.m. For vehicular traffic. You can still walk to the lighthouse, walk to the pier, but you won't be able to unfortunately get your vehicles back there because of all the activity in the boats that'll be going in and out. The PD will have 2 officers stationed at Perry and Washington to assist with traffic control. As the anglers come off of the lake, they'll pull their boats out on Lakeshore Drive and all file down and have to make that left-hand turn off of Perry onto North Washington Street for the weigh-ins. So they're going to be down there from about 3 o'clock-ish until we're guesstimating 7 o'clock-ish, the time period for all of the weigh-ins. We are still looking for volunteers to assist with parking lot traffic control. All of this is being funneled through the Chamber of Commerce and Main Street. So if you have the time on Friday or Saturday to assist with the parking, give Nicole a call at 734-5503. Just a reminder, Arbor Day is set for City Park on the 30th, Friday the 30th of April at 5 p.m. Meet at the north side of the playground for the Arbor Day festivities. Masks are required and social distancing, of course, and it will be an abbreviated ceremony compared to ceremonies in the past. Some exciting news about some work that's going to be going along the shoreline near the lighthouse and the beach. I may have talked about some of this before. Around the Lake Erie Love sign, we made arrangements, actually all 3 of these things we're going to talk about, made arrangements with Masonry Construction to begin work, hopefully, knock on wood, the work will be done by Memorial Day weekend. But around the Lake Erie Love sign, they're going to put in a concrete pad, and on the lake side of that, a step up. If you go out there now, you'll see that the ground is kind of eroded on the north side of that sign, and people have piled up rocks. So when they take the pictures, they get in the picture. We're hoping to alleviate that and make it a more pleasing and enjoyable space. About 30-40 feet to the east of that, this is something that's been going on for quite some time. The Toledo Metropolitan Area Council of Government has implemented a Portage River water trail. Masonry Construction will be installing our kayak ramp right in that area. And I'm very happy to announce, again, another 50 feet to the east of that, right where the handicap parking spaces are on the high ground. The city did receive a grant just shy of $18,000 from the Ability Center of Greater Toledo. With those funds, Masonry will be installing a set of steps leading from the parking lot down to the sand. There's about a 4 or 5 foot drop off there, as well as an accessible ramp, a concrete ramp leading down to the beach. And we'll be acquiring 2 50-foot sections of Moby mats. Google Moby mat, M-O-B-I, Moby mat. 1 50-foot section will be at the bottom of that ramp and stairwell, and the other 50-foot section will be placed on, lack of a better term, the traditional beach over across from City Park. This will allow individuals with mobility impairments to have access to the sand, get closer to their kids and family, and be part of the activity. We think it's a great addition at both locations, especially given the accessible play place on the east end down in City Park. While you're in that area checking out all the activity and construction along the shoreline, make sure you check out what the Lighthouse Conservancy has done. They've added 6 or 7 additional benches around their pathway, as well as right along the lake, a lot of them in that area that we just talked about. And if you haven't driven along Perry Street or taken a look at the picture I sent you, they installed a great looking sign to replace what was there before. Now, that sign, although it's permanent, it still has all the placements for grommets and all that other stuff that other individuals can just put banners right over top of it. So this way, when we're not advertising the Walleye Festival or the Walleye Drop or the Burning Snowman or the other things that get advertised in there, it's saying something. It's saying, hey, the lighthouse is here, instead of what was there before. Served a purpose, but this, I think, is a much better act. Mom 2.1, again, Madison Street will be closed, the same parameters as they were last year. The street closure will take place on the 29th of April. That will allow crews to begin the process of setting everything up. It just so happens the group kind of overseeing and coordinating all the efforts is meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock to update everybody on their specific tasks. So hopefully I'll send you an email with more information on that. We're hoping to get entertainment schedules out here very soon. Entertainment will start around Memorial Day weekend. We'll have a website with all the various sponsors, links to restaurants that are participating, shops, all that fun stuff. So it's going to be a neat experience. A lot more picnic tables. The stage looks incredible from the diagrams that I've seen. Switching gears again, May 1st, mark your calendar, Saturday, May 1st, that traffic light at the city beach is going to be turned on. So be mindful of that. Likewise, the restrooms at City Park next week, the water will be turned on and doors unlocked during the daylight hours for those facilities. If anyone is interested in reserving one of the park pavilions, many park pavilions we have throughout the city, contact Mrs. Ostheimer at 419-734-5522, extension 2. There will need to be a COVID plan in place, and Sandy can help you work your way through that. It's a very simple process, masks, hand sanitizers, things of that nature to make sure we stop the spread of COVID-19. Citywide cleanup is again this Saturday at City Hall from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. For a list of prohibited items, contact the city, City Hall 734-5522. Basically chemicals, tires, things that you normally wouldn't put out at the curb can't go in the bins down at City Hall. We're getting into lawn mowing and weed growing season, and ironically at the same time, locally we've had a rash of lawn living rooms pop up throughout the community. Keep in mind that putting anything out on the boulevard other than household refuge 24 hours or the night before the trash pickup is a violation and is subject to a junk notice. I want to thank Officer Ralph Edmonds for taking on the challenge of going all over town to address the lawn living rooms and other things that have popped up. Last year, City Hall created a two-sided door hanger. One side addresses tongue-in-cheek what we call the grass holes in our community that tend to mow grass clippings out into the street. The other talks about weed notices. Mr. Colston, myself, and the police department have these. Whichever violation is noted, there's a date, the address. These will be placed on the door hanger, photo taken of this as well as the violation, a record kept at the police station. Second violation is a citation. So look for these to be placed around town as we approach grass growing and grass mowing season. We don't want to get to this, but the reality is we're about to spend in excess of $60 million to improve the infrastructure of our city. When grass is blown out into the street, I know the people that are watching this have seen the pipes and smell the smells. I'm preaching to the choir here, but if you could help spread the word that it's not good to put the grass out in there. I hope most of you or all of you have had your COVID shot. If you haven't, please do so. And I would encourage you to spread the word. It's the only way we're going to get rid of these damn masks and other things and the social distancing. I want to go to a football game this fall, and I know some of you do as well. Ottawa County Health Department to schedule a COVID shot, 734-6800 or Ottawa, OTTAWA health.org, 734-6800 or ottawahealth.org. Chief Kent Johnson, a few weeks ago, I guess it was a little over a month ago, acquired with the assistance of a variety of folks, financial contributions from some of the service organizations in the community, as well as assistance from the Port Clinton Firefighters Association, something called an Auto Pulse. It's a mechanical CPR device that the EMT and paramedic on duty can strap onto a victim, and it allows, it mechanically does the chest compressions so those folks have their hands free to address other issues. In the 3-4 weeks-ish that the Auto Pulse has been in active service, it saved 2 lives. Well worth the $25,000 cost. Chief Johnson is looking to get a second Auto Pulse, but if you have an opportunity to stop by the fire station, take a look at it. Jerry, we can strap it on you and test it out if you'd like, but
Thank you.
it's a
Another
neat
Tuesday.
device, and it's done some wonders in our community. Taking off my mayor's hat for just a brief second and putting on my daytime hat in this facility, council, I'm hoping tomorrow, if not yet this evening, you will all get an email from Becky Davis. Becky Davis is someone that I've been working with for quite some time to get the J1 visa kids, my summer kids that come in every year. One thing we recognized last year is that this area has a difficult time economically without these individuals. It's just a numbers game. We don't have the number of people around here for the seasonal positions, and it happens all over the United States. And I'm learning more and more about this every day. On the 31st of March, President Biden allowed the J1 visa entry ban imposed by President Trump to expire. That's step one. That means that the kids can get their visas and can come to the United States this year. Step two in that process is to encourage President Biden to push for the embassies and consulates throughout the world, the US embassies and consulates throughout the world, to open up. Now, fortunately, I did a little bit of research and found out which embassies were still open, and I selected kids from those countries. But other folks in our community aren't so lucky, and they're still struggling to get their kids visas to come to the United States. It's a hardship for the businesses, for the American employees, for our local economy if we can't get these kids in to do the jobs that they do and provide the services to the locals and the visitors that come into here. So Becky Davis is going to send you an email asking you to sign a letter to President Biden, encouraging him to open up the embassies and consulates. I signed it both as Mike Snyder from Lake Erie Vacation Rentals and Michael Snyder, Mayor of the City of Port Clinton. I would ask so to show community support for this program that you use your elected title for this process. And finally, Mr. Sardi beat me to it, but happy birthday to Mrs. Hickman, Mr. Tiroli. Also, my daughter Haley turns 27 on Thursday, and a good friend of mine, Nikki Jong, who is the Mandarin teacher at the high school, turns 29 this Saturday. So something happened in the water about mid-July, those respective years. So with that, Madam President,
Mike.
thank you very much. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone have any questions for the mayor? Okay, we'll move on to law director's report.
I do not have anything tonight, Madam President, unless someone has questions about the new ordinances that I drafted.
Thank you. We'll move on to supervisors reports. Mr. Colston.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple things. Talking about sewer deduct meters. If you are on the program already, people need to call the meter reading in to set it back up. And then, of course, at the end of the season, by October 31st, you bring the meter back or the reading back and you get your credit for the year. To get on the new list, it costs $25. That's a one-time fee. They do have a waiting list for free used meters that they have at City Hall. If you want to get your own, obviously you buy your own, pay the $25 and move forward. Otherwise, get on the waiting list, and when they come available with the city, we bring them out or drop them off to you. The second thing is the H2O program. Every first of the month, I always try to give you an update. We are up to 46 people who have taken advantage of that situation. And looking over the notes, it looks like the customer logs have significantly gone down. It's about a 3-pager now instead. Some of them were asking about that. You've had a few negative comments there, of course. A lot of them were told to look at the video that the mayor put out. And that's pretty much it. So most of them were just questioning about what the H2O program's about. I think one person was turned away because they were not 65 years old. So other than that, that's my report tonight, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Colston?
Yeah, Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Bealow?
Mr. Colson, how about we plan to revisit in a committee meeting of finance all the details, like at the 6-month mark, you know, early July, and just talk about the program and any improvements might need to be made.
Sounds good. So from the program we talked about in the beginning, there's probably 20 spots left. We said 66 was our number for what you guys did in your ordinance. So that'd be a great time to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to committee reports. Mr. Bealow, Finance?
Nothing to report on finance tonight, Madam President.
You want to do Economic and Community Development?
Sure, that committee met yesterday evening and took up ordinance 8, 9 as amended and 10 as amended, and we can talk about those when they come up on the agenda later.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Hickman, Environment and Public Works?
Thank you, Madam President. I have spoken to my committee members and we have come up with a date for a meeting. I will be getting with Mrs. Ostheimer tomorrow morning and getting that meeting scheduled. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Ms. Phillips, Safety Services?
Thank you, Madam President. The next meeting of our group, Safety Service, will be Tuesday, May 18th at 6 p.m. via Zoom.
Okay.
And Mrs.
Thank you.
Ostheimer has already okayed it. Want to make sure we got it far enough in advance. We also had the police department received recertification. I think you all received information on this. Keeping up with what needs to be done. And these two sheets are what we received was community engagement and telecommunication training, use of force, recruitment and hiring. So they are trying to stay ahead, which gets us to something that I can talk about later or now if you choose. Which do you choose, Madam? Sorry.
That's up to you.
All right. We met last month and we're not going to meet this particular month, but we came up with the fact that we're spending an awful lot of money on some 2014 cars. We are requesting that for the budget of 2022, that 2 police cars be put in so that we can start on a rotating basis. So we don't have the hit like what we had when we got 4 cars for 2020, because it's really an extra high price. That's what will be after each meeting is requesting to find out what's going on here. Can we get them? Can it get into the budget? This is both for President of Chairman of Finance and the auditor, of course. After that, we really need to take a look at the Sally Port. I went out there one of the ugly days about a month and a half ago, and it is not someplace anyone would want to go intentionally or to do much with. It has, there are, what do you call them, schematics around here. There are diagrams to see about fixing it, but the cost is kind of high. You have to figure out how to do some of this one way or another. And that's what we need to do here. We seriously need to put two more cars on the budget for next year, 2022, and the year after, so we don't have the big hit again like we did last year. Any questions? Spending a lot of money on maintenance. I tell you, I could not believe how much is there, but you know, we have other things that need to be done too, right? Thank you very much. That's all, Madam President.
What is that annoying?
I have no idea.
Again, if you're not a council member, could you please mute your microphone? We're getting some feedback, I believe.
I think so too.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Gilman, Arts and Culture.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Okay, move on to correspondence. Council, you were emailed all the listed correspondence. Does council wish to take any action as to the correspondence this evening?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow,
regarding the 2 liquor permit items, I move that council waive its right to object at a hearing.
I will second.
thank you, Ms. Phillips. I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Ms. Phillips to waive anything concerning the liquor permits. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
yes,
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
and Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Does council wish to take any further action as to the correspondence this evening?
Madam President, I move to approve the correspondence as stated.
Thank you, Mr. Bealow. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. A motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mr. Trolley to accept the correspondence as stated. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
yes,
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Gabe Belo.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Correspondence are approved. I'm not sure if I said it for the liquor. Did I say it? Motion carries 7-0?
No, but I got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to readings of ordinances and resolutions. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only for the third readings, ordinance 8-21?
Ordinance number 8-21, an ordinance amending chapter 727 of the codified ordinances of the city of Port Clinton and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 8-21?
I move to retain the emergency clause on ordinance 821.
Thank you, Mr. Bealow. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion, Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mr. Trolley to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 8-21.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
yes,
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
and Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. The emergency clause is retained. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 8-21?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow,
I move to approve ordinance 821.
thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. Any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Bealow.
the Economic and Community Development Committee took this up yesterday and discussed it, recommended passage this evening. The ordinance would abolish the $200 permit fee that restaurants seeking to offer outside sidewalk dining have traditionally paid. Council will recall last year we waived that for the season. This would make that permanent. It would also expand permit application and insurance requirements to sidewalk retail operators. I'm sorry, sidewalk retail operations by our brick and mortar businesses downtown. So it would provide the same rules of the road for restaurants or retail operations if they want to involve the city sidewalk.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. We have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mr. Trolley to adopt ordinance 8-21. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Roseanne Hickman,
yes,
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
and Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Ordinance 8-21 is hereby adopted. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 9-21 as amended?
Ordinance 9-21 as amended, an ordinance amending section 719.01, 719.08, 719.09, and 719.10 of the codified ordinances of the city of Port Clinton and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action this evening as to ordinance 9-21 as amended?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow.
I move to retain the emergency clause on ordinance 9/21.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. I have a motion by, or any discussion? I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Ms. Phillips to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 9-21 as amended. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
and Roseanne Hickman.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries and the emergency clause is hereby retained as to ordinance 9-21 as amended. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 9-21 as amended?
Madam President, I move to adopt ordinance 9-21 as amended.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
second.
Okay, Mrs. Hovis, any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Bealow?
the Economic and Community Development Committee met yesterday and took up ordinance 9/21 as amended. Just to recap, it would allow for food trucks to operate within certain areas within the city. Previously, only push carts and trailers, non-motorized vehicles were authorized. So this adds in the definition of a motor vehicle and provides some authority to the Safety Service Director to determine some additional locations and hours of operation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mrs. Hovis to adopt ordinance 9-21 as amended. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
and Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 9-21 as amended is hereby adopted by vote 7-0. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 10-21 as amended?
Ordinance number 10-21 as amended, an ordinance amending section 1145.03 of the codified ordinances of the city of Port Clinton and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 10-21 as amended?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow?
I move to retain the emergency clause on ordinance 10/21.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilman. Any discussion? Okay, a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mrs. Gilman to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 10-21 as amended. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
and Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. The emergency clause is hereby retained as to ordinance 10-21 as amended. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 10-21 as amended?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow?
I move to approve ordinance 10/21 as amended.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. Any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Bealow.
the Economic and Community Development Committee met yesterday evening and took this up, ordinance 10/21 as amended. Recommended adoption tonight. Just to recap for the rest of council, the ordinance seeks to amend chapter 1145 of the codified ordinances to exclude from the off-street parking requirements redevelopment efforts that are located within the geography of our traditional downtown.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mr. Trolley to adopt ordinance 10-21 as amended. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
and Gabe Belo.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0 and ordinance 10-21 as amended is hereby adopted. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only ordinance 11-21?
Ordinance number 11-21, an ordinance amending chapter 521 of the codified ordinances of the city of Port Clinton to add section 521.15 to provide provisions for the removal and disposal of junk vessels and outboard motors in the city of Port Clinton.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 11-21?
Madam President, I move to adopt 1121.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, I have a motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Trolley to adopt ordinance 11-21. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
and Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 11-21 is hereby adopted with a vote of 7-0. We'll move on to second readings. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 12-21?
Ordinance number 12-21, an ordinance authorizing participation in the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program, including the Winter Road Salt Contract, authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to execute all necessary and required documents and agreements for the participation in purchasing program and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 12-21 this evening?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow?
I move to waive the 3 required readings of ordinance 12-21.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mr. Trolley to waive the 3 required readings as to ordinance 12-21. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries with a vote of 7-0. The 3 required readings are waived as to ordinance 12-21. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 12-21?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow?
move to retain the emergency clause on ordinance 12-21.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Trolley, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mr. Trolley to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 12-21. The clerk please call the roll.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 12-21 is hereby retained. The vote is 7-0. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 12-21?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow?
I move to adopt ordinance 12-21.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mr. Trolley to adopt ordinance 12-21. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
and Gabe Belo.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Ordinance 12-21 is hereby adopted. We move on to first readings of ordinances and resolutions. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only ordinance 13-21?
Ordinance number 13-21, an ordinance extending the deadline to file and pay individual income taxes to the city of Port Clinton for the 2020 tax year from April 15th to May 17th, 2020, and waiving penalty on tax due payments and estimated payments during the extension and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 13-21?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow.
move to waive the 3 required readings of ordinance 13-21.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. Any discussion? Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mr. Trolley to waive the 3 required readings as to ordinance 13-21. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Dave Belo,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
yes,
Thank you. The motion to waive the 3 required readings as to ordinance 13-21 carries with a vote of 7-0. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 13-21?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow.
I move to retain the emergency clause on ordinance 13-21.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Phillips? Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Ms. Phillips to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 13-21. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Margaret Phillips,
Yes,
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Dave Belo,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. The emergency clause is hereby retained with a vote of 7-0 as to ordinance 13-21. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 13-21?
Madam President, I move to adopt 13-21.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Trolley to adopt ordinance 13-21. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Dave Belo,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes,
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman.
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 13-21 is hereby adopted with a vote of 7-0. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 14-21.
14-21, excuse me, ordinance number 14-21, an ordinance to approve March 2021 replacement pages to the Port Clinton codified ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action this evening as to ordinance 14-21? Okay, seeing none, ordinance 14-21 will be moved to its second reading on April 27th, 2021 at the regularly scheduled council meeting. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 15-21?
Ordinance number 15-21, an ordinance amending section 917.01 and repealing sections 917.02, 917.03, 917.04, and 917.05 of the codified ordinances of the city of Port Clinton and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action this evening as to ordinance 15-21? Seeing none, ordinance 15-21 will be moved to its second reading on April 23rd, 2021 at the regular scheduled council meeting. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 16-21?
Ordinance number 16-21, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety Service to enter into an agreement with Pogemeyer Design Group Incorporated for pre-engineering and design services for the Port Clinton Infrastructure Above Ground Project and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action this evening as to ordinance 16-21? Seeing none, ordinance 16-21 will be moved to its second reading on April 27th at the regular scheduled council meeting. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 17-21?
Ordinance number 17-21, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the construction of the waterfront walkway project, and to advertise for qualifications and enter into a contract for construction management services for the project and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 17-21?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow,
move to waive the 3 required readings of ordinance 1721.
thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bealow to waive, and seconded by Mrs. Gilman to waive. To waive the three required readings as to ordinance 17-21. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
yes,
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0, and the 3 required readings are hereby waived as to ordinance 17-21. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 17-21?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Bealow.
I move to retain the emergency clause on ordinance 1721.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Ms. Phillips, to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 17-21. The clerk please call the roll.
Margaret Phillips,
Yes,
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Gabe Belo.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 7-0. The emergency clause is hereby retained as to ordinance 17-21. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 17-21?
Madam President,
Mr. Bealow,
I move to adopt ordinance 1721.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hovis. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion by Mr. Bealow, seconded by Mrs. Hovis to adopt ordinance 17-21. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Gabe Belo,
Yes.
Lisa Sabodian,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips,
yes,
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman.
Yes.
Thank you. With motion carries with the vote of 7-0, ordinance 17-21 is hereby adopted. We'll move on to business from the floor. Mr. Trolley, birthday boy.
I just would like to thank everyone for the birthday wishes. Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. That is all, Madam President.
Thank you, Mrs. Hickman.
I'd also like to thank everyone for their birthday wishes. And a lot of people don't know this, but Jerry's sister Gail and I, her birthday is the day before mine. So her and I celebrated together when we were young. So now I can tell her that I celebrated via Zoom with Jerry. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mrs. Gilman,
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
thank you. Ms. Phillips?
nothing except we'd like a police car or two. We'll
Okay,
be
thank
hearing
you.
more about that every time we have a meeting. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Sabodian.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Thank you, Ms. Hovis.
Nothing tonight, Madam President, although alcohol would make me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
And Mr. Belo.
Second, thank you, Madam President. Mrs. Schenker, thank you for your help with ordinances 8, 9, and 10. Same to Mr. Colson, to Mayor Snyder as well. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. With nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Snyder has something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. I just want to thank you all, and especially Mr. Belo. I know the walkway was one of his pet projects from 6, 7 years ago. So it's I know it probably feels pretty good to you to be right there on the cusp. And more importantly, for the record, Mrs. Hickman, could you please share the score of the softball game with us?
It's baseball and it is 12-9.
Pitcher's duel. All right.
Pardon me?
I said a pitcher's duel.
Yep.
Thank you. But no, seriously, thank you for the working on the walkway and the taxes and the parking and all the other stuff we've been working on for so long. It's good to see us spiraling this way as a community. So thank you all.
Yes, it is. I agree.
It does feel weird talking about road salt in April, but that's,
How to do it.
yeah,
Get it when you can.
yep.
Okay. With nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, I move this August body adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. I have a motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Trolley to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you,
Take
everyone.
care. Thank
Good
you.
night,
you.
everybody.
Night.
Thank you.
Aye.
Bye.